Jeananne says, you ladies look so pretty. I love your blooper.
What was our blooper?
The accidental live that happened.
Okay, now it says we're live.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm over here getting my soda.
Yep, we're on there.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
I can't see if there's people.
Hello.
Happy Monday.
Hello, everyone.
There we got some people.
There.
Yes, Princess Smith says we're live.
Hello. Now that I know that that's Jeananne,
Yeah.
a lot more. Hey, everyone.
Can you guys see the comments and everything okay?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh, Kimberly's here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So we're going to give just a few minutes. Sorry, guys. I had some internet issues. Weird. We practiced yesterday and we were all fine. And today the internet didn't like me very well. So we were a little late getting started. And if I suddenly disappear, it's because my internet didn't like me again. So how's everybody's morning? How you guys doing?
Good morning. Hey, Joe. I see
Hi,
Steve popping up.
Joe.
Our friend Joe.
Oh, hey, Joe. Yeah. Mine must be a little bit delayed. You guys are saying hey to people. I'm like, who is it?
Let's see, Gian and Marco and Donna.
Marco, yes. Christine. So many awesome people joining us today.
Wow.
I know. It's exciting. I can't believe it's Monday. The weekend went so fast.
Yes,
It really did.
It did.
I agree.
Well, let's get started.
Perfect.
Wow.
Got frog out of here.
So thanks everybody for jumping on this Monday afternoon. I can't believe it's already 1 o'clock on Monday. It's like, where's the time going by? I want to thank my co-hostesses here, Ms. Amber Skripek, Jamie Kaufman, and Karen Odell. These three lovely ladies really are the heart of our hotline. And I'm excited that they agreed to do this today, because what I feel is really important is for some of you that have called the hotline. I think we have such a great group of people that are super talented, that can have answered your questions. And I think it's great too to see the faces that go along with the voices that have worked with you via telephone. So, today was really just about the opportunity for you guys to come with your questions. I've created some questions to ask these ladies, and we're just going to have a little bit of fun. So jump in and join along. Amber, do you have anything you want to start off and say?
Yeah. Actually, one of the things that you just said kind of prompted the first thought is not all manufacturers have a line where you can actually call in and get right now answers. And that's one thing that I love that Keune offers is, and you're not just talking to somebody in the office, but you're actually getting a stylist or somebody that's done hair before. All four of us have a background in hair and still do hair. So the fact that we're coming to you with answers, it's because we've probably had the same personal experience ourselves. So I love that Keune just takes that support to a whole nother level and gives you like real-time support when you need it. So
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Karen, Jamie? Or Jamie? Karen or Jamie?
Sure. I mean, to say like what Amber, or to echo what Amber just said pretty much is, it's very cool. I've always wondered when I call the tech line, if the people were even, if they were licensed, if they knew hair, because sometimes you didn't always feel that way. And so I think it's very cool that at Keune we do. And that, we really do care about people who call in and do our best to find solutions to them, to their challenges. Even when sometimes the challenges, the answer is fire your client, at the end of the day, sometimes it's like, oh, she's got to stop box dyeing her hair every other week, So, but I think it's cool that we can actually help people. We very much all enjoy it. We've all looked at it and accidentally forgot to answer, and then all three of us have called a customer. So, it's kind of fun. Like, you get excited to call somebody, like, oh, what's their, let me help them out. So, but I think it is important to actually be able to see who the people are. We're not just some random folks sitting in a call center. We are actual human beings in the US that are going to answer your calls and have all done hair just like you.
Isn't it funny, because even the ones that you guys typically get to them before I ever can, but it's funny, the ones that I do, I'm just like, yeah, this is Jessica with Keune, because it freaks them out when you're like, oh, it's blah, 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 blah at Keune. And then, it's just funny. What about you, Karen?
Yes, well, the whole reason that I wanted to become a hairdresser was to help others feel good. And it really gives me a joy to serve everyone and help them and build their self-confidence. And it's so rewarding to be on the tech line, because you're helping people help their stylist look beautiful, or their stylist making them look beautiful. So building that self-confidence in others is very rewarding to me.
Yeah. So I'm going to dive in, because I haven't seen any questions yet. So I'm going to just dive in and ask you guys some questions, because I know the challenges that we go through. It's hard because you're not seeing, and you have to have the right setup and asking the right questions to help guide them in the best possible way that we can. So I always find that to be, one of the most challenging parts of a hotline, or verbally trying to help someone on the phone. So Jamie, what do you think your most challenging tech call has ever been?
Oh, goodness sakes. I would have to say the most challenging. I think we joked about this one the other day, Karen, you and I. My most challenging tech call was explaining to a non-stylist why we could not give her advice to give to her stylist. Not that we couldn't give her advice, but that it would be best that the stylist call in. Because, Google's a wonderful and horrible thing all in the same. And so, we got to remember as stylists that sometimes our consumers are getting out there and looking up things and thinking they know what they're talking about. And they're calling our hotline to ask us how to tell you how to do something. That was the most challenging, because it was, how do you explain to a consumer, we'd be more than happy to help, but we're going to need your stylist to call in, because these are products that are for your use. So I'd say that one was the most challenging. It took a bit to explain that.
Yeah. What about you, Karen?
Yes, I would say my most challenging would be when I had a customer call in, and she said that her customer's hair broke off, and I was like, oh my goodness. And she said, but her hair was already fried when I did it. So my question to her was, why did you do it? Okay, that's all. And then she wanted me to recommend a color, because she still insisted on coloring her hair. So that is really a challenge for me, to recommend another color. So what I recommended to her was conditioning treatments, and treat your hair with vital nutrition and protein spray, and then revisit that in about 2 weeks. So, and then I want you to do a test strand. Will you promise me that? So I think that was challenging.
What about you, Amber?
A couple of them come to mind, but I think the most challenging one was when it was a couple different calls along with the same stylist, and we could not figure out why she could not get great coverage with her client. We went through formulas, we went through application, multiple times had the same conversation to finally break down that it was nothing that she was doing, but her client was not being truthful to her, and she was doing stuff in between services that was giving her inconsistent results. So here we are racking our brains to try and figure it out. I'm like, are you sure you asked the client this? And she was asking all the right questions, doing all the right things, but the client was not being truthful. And then finally, I don't know what happened, but she finally fessed up to doing some stuff on the side. And I was like, thank goodness, because it was driving us both absolutely crazy.
Yeah, and that's a great segue to my next question, because what is like, we all have our own individual process when it comes to how we approach things. So, what is like a way that you guys approach asking questions to our callers?
I'll go first. I mean, for me, I usually will sit and listen first. Like I'll have them walk me through like what they've either done so far or what they're trying to achieve, and then go into like getting a little bit more information about the client or whatever it is, that if it's a color question about like, what's the starting level? Where are you trying to get to? And actually trying to paint that picture for us, because again, like we can't see the client in the chair. And I don't know about the other ladies, but there's a lot of times that I'll give out like my cell phone number so they can send me pictures, because at least there's a visual then to see where they're starting and where they want to go. But there's a lot of questions from us to the stylist to actually like, again, paint us the best picture to get to the end result. And for a lot of the color formulations, I always give a suggestion. Again, I'm not going to give you a set in stone formulation when I'm not there. So usually the end of our calls will be, you do what you think is best, use your best professional decision, because the client's in front of you, not in front of me, but here are some things that I would recommend. So,
is there anything, Karen, that you add to that? I know that's part of your process as well as what Amber just described.
Yeah, it's very similar to what Amber does, but I'll ask them to walk me through their steps, because then that actually gives me the chance to listen for what's not being said. Maybe they missed a step or took a shortcut like we always like to do. And that way I can determine and assess just how they ended up with those results, and then I could help them a little more.
Awesome. Anything you need to add, Jamie? Because we've got some questions coming
I know we got some
I
questions
saw
coming in. I mean, we all go through a very similar process, and just, really trying to get here for what they're not saying, and help them understand, or help us understand where they want to go. But yeah, everything else the same. We want to get to the questions.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this one has about 3 questions in one paragraph. So the first one is, have you had any calls about the blow drying situation with the pandemic? I haven't. I mean, the hotline has been pretty quiet, as you can imagine, for the last 7 weeks, as stylists aren't working behind the chair. I can tell you, I've heard in certain states that blow drying is not going to be permitted. And that is why we really brought those express finishing classes from Jessica Bartolucci out to each and every one of you, to give you some alternatives if that tends to be what your state mandates for you. So keep an eye on that state that you live in for direction when it comes to that. The second part is how, and whichever one of you guys want to take this question, how do you separate blend versus style?
Well, I mean, I'll go for it. Why not? I'll give it my best effort. Like when I talk about the difference in our brand portfolio, is a lot of it really comes down to personal preference, as well as a little bit of marketing. Let's be real. Blend is definitely marketed at a younger audience, but is certainly something anyone can use. The great thing about Blend is it's all in the name. So those are products that keep a similar fragrance palette, so that when you mix and match them, they don't change up the fragrance. They're also made for that. So we know that as hairdressers, we like to cocktail, and we like to, layer products. And Blend is a line that is truly, completely cocktailable and blendable, from the fragrances to the consistencies of the products. Style, I feel, is one of the most amazing traditional, if you will, styling lines, and each thing has its purpose. It's very broken down into segments. Everything still works together, but you still have a lot of that variance in the types of things that you can create with style. So it's a little bit bigger line. It covers a lot more bases in what you're trying to create or ask the hair to do. So that's my best shot.
Yeah. And then the other one is, why care is as good as So Pure? I think that's going to be
all the time.
Yeah, I think that's going to be opinion. I mean, for me, I'm I'm a huge So Pure lover. I love the experience that it gives, but I think what you have to remember is when you're working with Keune product, you're dealing with the finest, rawest ingredient possible. So I think it's about lifestyle. I mean, So Pure to me is a lifestyle brand and Care is a prescriptive brand.
Yeah.
Can the two live together? Absolutely. It's all based on the needs of the client. So, I love all of our stuff. I mean, I think it all plays well together. We have another question. I've had issues with gray coverage as well. I find without 30 minutes under a roller ball and an additional 15-minute processing, I cannot get good gray coverage even using the 0.00. Who wants to take that one?
I don't mind snagging that one, mostly because I've got a segment coming up on Wednesday about it. So gray coverage is definitely one of the things in the salon that we profit from. I would say the most are gray coverage and our blonde guests. And it can be very frustrating if we're not getting gray coverage when we're following the rules and all the guidelines that Keune gives us. So a few things to remember about gray coverage is application is super key. Making sure that the hair is saturated, making sure that your sections are small, especially in your more resistant hair. Also making sure that, like, usually if you're not getting great coverage, there's a few things that you're missing. And we'll talk about this on Wednesday's live on Cover Up. You're either missing extra warmth, extra alkalinity, or more pigment. So those are the first three things that I would look at in your formulas to see where I can shift to get better gray coverage. So we'll go into a little bit more detail on that on Wednesday. But usually you're lacking something in one of those three departments, and the color will end up coming out more translucent or hollow looking. So you'll have a coloring of hair versus a covering of like that gray hair. So also, one thing to keep in mind is that Keune doesn't recommend heat with any of our products. So depending on what the heat setting is set on the roller ball, it could be heating up the color too much, where then you're breaking down the product. So you could be doing adverse effects by adding the heat or the roller ball to it. All of our products are tested in our research and development team to work according to the directions without heat. So once you start adding in those outside elements, you start to kind of mess with the outcome, if you will. So timing is super important, application, and then again, those three things: pigment, warmth, and alkalinity. So
right. And that heat can really create some inconsistency, results. And the client could have success with it one time and then come back and then it not cover or things like that. So I think that's well said about, how we test our product. That's so important. Anna, she's from the UK, and no, we do not mind that you asked. We're glad that you joined us. And she made the decision to change from Wella to Keune, as she has been inspired by our live videos and education.
Thanks, Anna.
Welcome to Keune. She wanted to know any advice on changing over process, or advise me as I'm new to Keune colors. Well, I'll just touch on that for a minute. I think in switching lines, it's so important to identify the level that your client is in Keune. So popping off that natural, making sure that you're then formulating correctly. I think the transition's pretty simple. You just have, they have a very similar setup in the tube of how it works, knowing, the pigments that live and how the colors work. We also are having a Keune Color Basics class tomorrow with Amber. So if you're anybody who's interested and that's new to Keune, please send us your name to education@keune.com, and we'll send you out the Zoom link. It is a 3-hour program that will take place tomorrow, and it'll give you all the ins and outs of Keune Color. Anybody want to add anything to that?
I think the only thing that I would add, like, switching from another manufacturer, I would say focus on the new set of rules and guidelines, and don't try and formulate based on what you're used to knowing. There's been plenty of conversations over the years that I've had with stylists. I'm like, put it all the old stuff in a closet and shut the door and don't open it again. Because when you start treating your new stuff like your old stuff, you're not going to get the outcomes that you want. You're going to have inconsistent end results. So trust the process, focus on the guidelines that Keune gives you, and yeah, have fun. It's so easy to use. That's one of the things that I love about Keune Colors. It's so easy to use.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, one of the things that when I came on board with Keune from another brand, I think what I had to do was exactly that, put everything in the closet and walk away from it, because I knew my color theory, and that I didn't put in the closet. And if I started over with color theory, I would get the results that I wanted. But if I tried to compare it to something that sounded like that in the other brand, whatever that color was, if I thought, oh, this tube sounds like that, I would not get the results I wanted. So there's no tube for tube comparison. It really is just taking it back, old school, go to color theory, formulate from the get, from that whole swatch book that pops out, or swatch that pops out, and just think, like, what is my theory? How am I going to get there? That kind of thing. And you'll get there every time. It's a very predictable color.
Absolutely. And this is going to be your absolute best friend, because everything that you need to know is all in one little place. And it's so easy to work with and navigate through.
Agreed. Yeah.
Okay, so Alyssa has a question.
Okay.
It's a long question, so bear with me. She's having trouble with toners. I'm going to try to cliff note version of the question. She's having issues with toners that grab too much. She's having a lot of trouble with hair turning to violet when trying to correct gold. So if there's some pieces that are lighter than others, those lighter pieces always grab purple rather than the toner blending things together for me. She's tried cutting it with clear and using clarifying shampoo and vital nutrition conditioner prior, but she's still having challenges. To me, it sounds like porosity.
Yep.
Like uneven porosity. So what do you guys recommend?
That's exactly what I was going to say, Jessica. It sounds like a porosity issue, and the porosity is going to play a huge role on your end result. So we have a beautiful, I don't have it here because I've used it all, but we have protein spray in the Care regimen. And the protein spray you can use pre, post, and during. So that will definitely equal out the porosity of your hair and give you that longevity of the color as well. Amber, you have it?
I have it. I was looking forward to that.
Yeah.
It was like she had the box for the backup Q&U last week.
Hey, there we go.
Now we have to have the studio in the house. Yeah.
All right.
I don't know if Karen was done or not. Yeah, protein spray is a great one. Vital nutrition mask, another one from from Care. But also keep in mind when you're picking your toners, a lot of times we go to a neutralizing tone when we don't always need a neutralizing tone. So look at the hair and ask yourself, does it really need the 0.7? Does it really need the violet to neutralize? Because if there's not warmth there to neutralize, your neutralizing tone will deposit. So if porosity is perfect, then it's usually what comes into play next is I'm picking something too strong for the hair that I'm applying it to. So a lot of times in semi, if I don't need to neutralize, meaning that I'm working on the same level, I'll pick a natural and use my naturals as a toner to just deposit tone. It'll come out nice and neutral. You'll still get your brightness without getting too deep and dark with picking like a 0.1 or a 0.7. So again, make sure you're identifying the level correctly and picking a tone that's going to neutralize without depositing after because it's too strong.
Or even cutting instead of clear with natural. That's something I like. If you're using that 9.2 or that 9.7, you're thinking, oh, that's going to pull too much on those really white, maybe slightly over processed pieces. Then I'd like to cut with natural as well, because it kind of keeps it a little more balanced. Where clear is still keeping it that tone, just a lighter version of it.
Yeah. Agreed.
Sorry, Jess.
Yeah, no, you're fine, because sometimes you're actually seeing, something yellow and it's not really gold. And it's like, I find that I need a lot more clear sometimes than I think I really do. Because I just need a hint of that tone just to kind of kiss it away. So, think about that too. So yeah, definitely join us if you guys are interested. I put into the comment box how to join our color basics class tomorrow if you have interest.
Mm-hmm.
All the stylists dealing with COVID. Transforming my heart is with your. I missed that one.
I think it's with you. My heart is with you. I think she accidentally hit the R.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, our heart is with you.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Yes, sure.
Definitely.
So let me ask this. What is the you ready? Because I have one too. I think it's interesting. What is your most comedic call that you've received?
I'll take that one.
Go, Karen.
Mind already, but
So I took a tech call and I said, hello, this is Karen from the hotline at Keune. How may I help you? And she says, oh my gosh, I wasn't expecting you to sound like that. And we both just busted out laughing. And then I said, well, darling, I will tell you, I'm smarter than I sound.
Oh, Karen.
Oh boy.
Mine was I had called a lady and called the number, and I got a dentist office like opening, and I was like, oh well, this is weird. I checked the number, and I was like, that's so strange. And they're like, yeah, please hold. And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing right now. Like, who am I calling? How did I end up calling a dentist office? So the lady gets on the phone after I've been on hold, and she's asking me questions about gray coverage and timing, and that she's used the products for a long time. I'm like, this is so strange. So I'm walking her through like mixing ratios and timing, and she's like, man, I was wondering if my stylist was letting me sit too long, and now I know that she's not. Thanks for answering my question. I'm like, what is happening?
Oh my gosh.
Oh, good. I was so busy. She's like, I need to go and get my hair done at lunchtime, and I just don't have time to sit. So I wanted to make sure that my stylist wasn't letting me sit too long. And I was like, no, she's not. I felt like she was trying to like bamboozle me, but her stylist was doing everything right. Since that call, we now ask the lovely ladies in the office, Heather and Amber and Erin, all of them ask now if it's professional or consumer so that we know. But she played it off so well. Like, she was asking questions about like timing and application. I was like, man. So yeah, that was probably mine. I still tell that story to this day in most of my classes. But
that's awesome.
That's funny.
Mm-hmm.
I would have to say, of all the ones that made me laugh the hardest was I was third in line, I believe, one day for the same customer. And this was back before they would tell us the names. They would just be like, here's the number, call this person, they have some questions. And so this person was like, by the time I got to her, she's like, okay, so I did this. Karen O'Dell told me to do this. And then I talked to that Amber girl, and she told me to do this. But now I'm at this step. So, but I don't remember what Amber said because I didn't write it down. And she was just like going on and on. So literally all three of us had walked her through it at the end of the day. And then finally she sent a photo at the very end of the day. This has been a while back because I think I even shared it with you guys. It was like, oh, and here's what she looks like. But it was just like, really, you literally got all of us. And we do have some, I think the most comedic thing to the three of or four of us sometimes is the folks that use us a lot. And it's so fun because you get a relationship built up with them. And, through this whole thing, I think my biggest heartbreak was I was finally going to get to meet someone that I'd spoken to so many times on the phone. And then this all happened and it literally canceled the week before. I was so bummed. I was waiting for selfies, all that good stuff, but yeah.
But you're like you build a connection with the people that call in.
Yeah, and I was like so excited to be here
before. Yeah.
I
mean,
right?
I think mine was when I think the three of you guys were probably on vacation or something, and I called a lady, and it was a consumer, and she wanted me to, she was at Walmart, and she wanted me to help her pick out the box color that she was about to put on her head. And it was like, ma'am, how did you get this number? And she was like, oh, I just like found it. I think I saw it like, you know, somewhere. And I was like, we're changing our number.
Yeah.
But what I found interesting to that, which is why we now ask the ladies in the office to, you know, filter those for us, is because we want to make sure, especially during this time, that we didn't have consumers calling us wanting advice on how to color their hair at home. You know, again, it's about supporting you guys as stylists at Keune. That's our mission. And it was like, we're not going to do that, but we will push them back to their stylist. But I found that to be the most interesting I've ever had. Funny. And a little funny.
I remember the one call that Jamie took. You know, she's all the way in Kansas and I'm all the way in Texas. And she took a tech call, and it turns out the lady lived in my neighborhood. So Jamie
yes, I forgot about that one.
Yeah,
That
so
was a
she
great
gave
one.
me the lady's number, and I went and sit with her and visited with her and took her some brochures and a few little samples that I had.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Hey,
Definitely.
full turn. All right, what questions
Exactly.
did you guys come prepared with? I think I just went through all of mine.
I think you went through all of ours.
I did?
Oh, well, I mean, I do. Okay, so it's not so funny, but it was some of the odd ones that we get. And they are a little bit odd. Is we occasionally do get professionals who call us to ask us to backwards convert their color. And so I think it's something that you want to put out there a little bit to say, hey guys, remember, we're experts in Keune color, and we can do our best to guide you from another brand to ours. But the reality is we're not going to be able to tell you how to put it in a different brand. So, the best support I can offer for that is, hey, our number system, here's what they stand for, and that will help you. But the same when you're calling in to actually convert from another brand to us is, help us help you by knowing what those letters and numbers stand for in the brand that you were using. Because again, we're only experts in Keune. Don't get me wrong, some of us have background knowledge in other brands as hairdressers, but realistically, us not knowing all the brands, we have to kind of figure it out, like what those letters and numbers might stand for. So if you know that, that will help us a lot, guide you to the right spectrum of colors to use. So.
Awesome. So we have, this is for all four of us. Your most rewarding moment at Keune or with Keune.
Oh, wow. There's been a lot.
If you guys are still thinking, I don't
go ahead, Amber.
It's most rewarding, but it's definitely my most standout. I've been with Keune I've used them behind the chair, so I'm a stylist, like all of us are. But I first started using Keune 14 years ago, and even before I became an educator, like I was going through the process, and that was about 10 years ago. I got my first opportunity to go to Holland to headquarters, and I think that was probably my most standout moment with Keune, is just because I finally got to connect a box of color or a bottle of shampoos with like where it came from. We saw research and development. I got to see it go down like the assembly line when you walk into the warehouse and see all the boxes and then the vats of like color and developer. It's amazing to see that we have a part of it from the point of origin to like how it changes our lives behind the chair. So I think just getting to experience that and actually George Keune Sr., here's this guy that's just like so down to earth and so normal that I met him for the first time, and it was like meeting a celebrity. I was like, hello. I was so shy, and I'm not a shy person, but what do I talk about with this man other than like I have so much to talk about with him, but was so
other than shampoo.
What?
Other than shampoo, what are we talking about?
But I think that was like my most standout moment with Keune, is actually getting to go over there and experience who we are and where we came from.
That's awesome, Amber. And I think mine's very similar to yours. was the Keune Loyalty Club trip in 2018, and I was able to meet with some of our top salons. And also, I want to share a little story with you, a little bit of the true story with Keune, and it's about the truck. Can everybody see the truck?
Mm-hmm.
I was actually able to get my picture made in front of that truck when I was in Amsterdam and see how all the products were made. But what's so special about that truck, that was one of the Keune trucks. And back when World War II was going on, the Germans were coming in and confiscating the trucks. And Jan Keune had the trucks hid behind these barrels of talcum powder. And he knocked one of them over accidentally. And he told the soldiers to leave and go wash it off. And so they fled, and they were able to display that truck in front of the mothership in Amsterdam. And I got my picture made with it, and that was a special moment to me.
Cute. You're
I
the
love
cutest
it.
thing on the planet.
Yeah.
And the funny thing I think is that for all three of us, for 3 out of the 4, Jess hasn't given hers yet. So to be honest, it's ironic that they're all Amsterdam. I've been twice, and the second time, I mean, there was so many rewarding things the first time as well, you know, from all the things that you guys have mentioned with seeing how things are made and learning the information about like the truck and the stories. But this last time in October, when myself and one of the educators, Jessica Bartolucci, who's been doing some of our lives, were able to go, I think the most rewarding part was really just being a part of some of the what may be coming down the pipeline and actually having our opinions asked and feedback given. And, you know, it's very cool to say what works really well with these products and what are the challenges you guys might sometimes occur, you know, and then telling them, you know, by the way, you know, I answer some of the tech calls. They're like, oh, well then what are the things? What are the things, you know? And it was really just cool to be a part of that piece of it too, and really get to give our feedback on what we think is really great and what we'd like to see. You know, as far as products go. So, and I got my picture made too with Mr. Keune. So that was fun. That was a lot of fun. So, yes.
Well, you'll be all surprised. Mine is not Amsterdam.
Even more times.
Well, just I've been a lot. I will say I'm grateful for the opportunities that I've had at the level that I've gotten to engage with this company that I've never have with any other brand that I've worked with. I will have to say, though, my most rewarding is the fact that I work with 100 plus of the most talented educators in our industry, and getting to be a part of their growth process. They're, you know, helping coach them along the way, helping them, you know, reach their dreams that then in turn they gift to each and every one of you watching as stylists. That is extremely rewarding for me. And I get to, and the best education team on the planet. You know, Karen, Jamie, Amber, Janan, Gareth, James, Michael, who runs our academy. We are an amazing group of people with the same passion to keep going. So, you know, I think that is what's most rewarding for me. We have a couple other questions, ladies.
Ooh.
Can you guys type in?
No.
Okay. So we answered that one. Oh, I love this.
The
From Lemon. What's a product that you think is underrated and people should use more?
I'm already prepared. It's actually a new product, and it has become my fast favorite. And I know that there's a line on here that might throw, you know, some women off from using it possibly, but it is the new, I don't know if you can see it, Tough Texture from the 1922 line. So I still love Salt Mist, but this just has a little bit different of a texturized feel. So when I got on the call today, the ladies were like, wow, that's some big hair. And it was pretty much created mostly with this as I blow dried. It doesn't have a lot of sticky to it, which I thought was really nice, but it gives a lot of texture. And of all the things I have used, you know, my curl bounces up okay, but this is bouncing up the best. I don't care if it does say distilled for men. It smells amazing, but it also just, I was shocked at how big my hair got with it. So
Mhm.
that's one that I think is definitely underrated.
Yeah.
Besides the usual.
For me, I think it's spray wax from Style. And I wish I would have grabbed my can, but I love, like, I don't typically do next day, like, hair. I do my hair every day. But when I don't want to do my hair every day, like now, I love spray wax because I can just set on my curl and just kind of tousle my hair and then hit it with spray wax. And it just gives it this great support that's not sticky or tacky or too firm that I can't comb through it like a traditional wax would be.
Mm-hmm.
Karen?
Yeah, I can talk about one that just launched as well. It's a men's product. How ironic is that, Jamie? But it's the tinted dust. I know a lot of people right now are worried about, their gray right now showing. And this is really great because it has this powder, as you can see. And so what it's going to do, you can spray this powder exactly where you want it. And then you can scrunch it in the root area. And it's not only going to give you that tinted color, but it's going to give you volume as well. So even though it's a men's product, we don't discriminate. Women can use it too.
We love men too, but men's product too, don't we?
Yeah, exactly.
That's right. My product, and I don't know if it's like product or just anything that Keune has product that's underutilized, but I think mine, since everyone shared like their hair product, mine is this little little booster. I think this is probably one of the most underutilized things that we have. We've had it for a couple years now, so it's not something that's been a part of our portfolio for a long time. But this little cool booster ampule will turn any of our powder lighteners into a neutralizing and toning lightener. So what this is a direct dye. Obviously, it's blue. And you would add it into your formulation of either cream blonde, magic blonde, freedom blonde, power blonde. It can also be added into the 3000 series or 2000. So it'll turn anything that's able to lift into a lift and tone if you add the cool booster. Suggested is like 1 to 2, depending on what your desired end result is. A good guideline for me is like usually 1 per 30 grams of product. So this one I think is the most underutilized, and especially for us going back into the salon, if I don't have to take extra time to tone, then like I can do a lot with just this in one step. So I think that's my underutilized product.
Agreed. She said in color too. I'll tell you, I think semi-color is definitely underutilized. I mean, as somebody who I love corrective hair color, that is a game changer for me. It's one of my favorite products. I'll be honest. I'll tell you a funny little story. When Keune approached me to come work for the company, I used another line that I loved very, very much and used it for, 12, 14 years. And I said, send me 1 tube of your demi-permanent color. I just want to try it. And I was like in love with that product. And I'll never forget, it was 5.35. And I still love that shade to this day, but just the way that it conditions and works in the hair is so impressive. So if any of you have not tried semi out there, give it a shot. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And we do have a class on that coming up soon.
Yes.
Do we?
Next Tuesday, also 2 p.m. Eastern. I will add something, and only because I saw his name pop up here. And I had the blessing to do a webinar with Mr. James Helton a while back. And he was doing it all over Style. And he made me pay attention to a product that honestly was the only product in the line I had never pretty much touched. Because, I grew up in, let's say, the Poison era. And a lot of liquid hairsprays. And, I think of them as certain things. And I'm just like, oh, look, it's a liquid hairspray. Yay. But he really enlightened me to a lot of different things during that class that you could use liquid hairspray for. And I was like, oh my God, he set her hair with that. He blows her out with that. He's doing this with that with that. I was like, wow. So that's a product I currently am getting ready to place my order, and I'm going to start trying that because today when I curled my hair. I was so mad that all I had was aerosol. I was like, I wanted to try that with the liquid spray. And he's
That's
laughing
what I
at me
used
now
to
in the
do.
comments. Yeah,
That's
he's
what I
laughing at me
curl
now
mine
in the
with.
comments. But yeah, I was like, I wanted to do that today. So
Yeah, it's a great product.
It really is. I'll tell you about another great product. It's one of my favorites, and it's the Ultimate Blonde Neutralizing Spray. And I learned this from a good friend of mine named George Aldretti, to put it in a continuous spray bottle, and that'll actually help it spread easier, and it's easier to dispense and put it exactly where you want it. If that is actually back bar only, but if you're looking for something to send home, then this is the Care Silver Saver for home, and you can see the before and after with the blonde neutralizing spray, and then the before and after with the Silver Saver and the Care.
very cool.
It's a great visual.
One of our educators mentioned using the elixirs with the masks for spa treatment. She loves that. So
Yeah.
yes.
Thanks for that,
Thank
Kat.
you.
So Pure Calming Elixir and So Pure Calming Essential Oils in the past 7 weeks of quarantine have been lifesavers. That lavender, I'm like, okay, bring me back.
I'm telling you, that's why my oldest 2 sons are still alive.
I'll tell you another product that I love. It's the Vital Nutrition Porosity Filler. So if you're someone like me that does a lot of flat ironing at your fringe or around the sides when the hair is breaking off, it has the fatty acids in it and ceramides, and so it's going to really build that hair. Or if you've had a razor cut that has gone wrong, this is going to really help your cuticle.
Yeah, Botox for the hair.
For your hair,
That's right, Debbie.
that's
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Heck yeah.
What other questions do we have? We have anything else?
Not right now. I mean, we're getting to the wire. Look how quick. We have 10 minutes left, you guys. It just went really fast.
Yeah.
It goes really, really quick. So, we'll go around any last words, any words of advice. Amber, I'd like for you to talk a little bit about Wednesdays Live and what we're going to be talking about.
Yeah. Well, I guess last words or words of advice, especially as we're getting back into the salon, or if you're not, hang tight, we're getting there. But just remember to slow down when we get back. Like, everything's going to be so rushed. Everything's going to be like right now. I know our clients are like bugging us to get back just as much as we want to get back, but don't fast forward through those initial steps that you have to take. So make sure that the consultation is done thoroughly. Make sure that we're still checking natural or existing levels, because they may have colored their hair during quarantine or whatever. So set yourself up for success, and usually that success comes from that consultation. So remember not to skip over that part. And if you do and you need us, we're here. I know that we put the tech line number on the side, so we're always here to talk. And Wednesday I will be on here on the Keune Professionals page at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, talking about cover up. So it's all about great coverage. So I'll walk you through some of our guidelines that we suggest for great coverage, some formulas that you can use for troubleshooting, resisting gray hair, what the hair is missing if you're not getting great coverage, and just some quick tips and tricks on applications. And again, formulations to get that 100% great coverage in that 30 minutes. So we'll have a lot of product conversations and, like I said, formulations on Wednesday. So tune in. And like Jess said, if you guys are interested in joining us tomorrow for our Color Basics class, I will see you there as well. And that's going to cover tint of color, semi-color, our lighteners, and our after color program. So whether you're new to Keune or looking to refresh your information on Keune, we would love to see you there. It's great. It's interactive, so you guys get to ask questions and cover a lot of information.
Jamie?
As far as last words and pieces of advice, it goes kind of what Amber, talked about in the going back, like, don't rush yourself. But also keep an open mind and an open heart. Remember, a lot of people have, they've been away from you for some of them in some areas a very long time, and they may have felt the need as possibly a required worker or whatever to do some things that they never would have done before. Just try to keep a safe place mentality in your salon. If it's okay to just tell me the truth, because if you don't tell me the truth, we might have some challenges. So in that consultation, just making sure that you mentioned, like, it's okay if you did this, if you had the color in between, it's okay. I just need to know that so I can take the proper precautions going forward. So I think that's the biggest thing, and just taking care of yourself as well. Remember, these guidelines aren't just put into place from state to state. Check your state guidelines first, but from state to state they differ, and it's not just to protect your clients, but to protect you guys as well. You're the ones that are coming into contact with stranger after stranger after stranger. So make sure you're taking care of yourself.
Yes, ladies, that was beautifully
Karen.
said by the both of you. Just know that we're here. Keune truly cares about you. So if you need us, just call us. I don't even care if it's about a formula. You just want to call and say hello or need a friendly conversation. We're here for you, and just know that we'll hold your hand through this journey.
I agree. I always say the most common tech call I get is literally someone who just needs a person to bounce it off of.
Sure.
They already know the answer.
They just need to talk it out.
And that's okay too. That's totally fine.
Yeah. Sometimes you just need to talk it out, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, wow. What a great segment. I want to thank the three of my co-hostesses here for their time today, for everybody tuning in. With the questions, keep them coming. You can always send us an email at education@keune.com. You can also reach out to us via any of our social platforms with questions, as we're monitoring those as well. So last words for me is just be safe out there, everybody. Like Amber said, take things slow and steady. We're going to have completely new looking clients probably as they come in the salon. So, take that time to, give them the end result that they are looking for and what's obtainable for you to give them. So I think that's important. I wish you guys all the very best day ever. And I'll talk to you three beauties later.
Bye. I love what Lisa says here. We got this.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care.